Welcome to Halloween recommendations. These are probably, I'm going to be honest, a lot of books I want to read versus, stuff I have read. But longtime watchers of this channel will not be surprised. So, my name is Tammy, and welcome to the Protagonist Pub. So, first up on the list is The Spell Book of Katrina Van Tassel by Alyssa Palombo. This is the story of Sleepy Hollow. I think this sounds so good. I cannot wait to read this. It is actually a retelling of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, which I believe I read last year around this time of year. So, this is the tragic romance of forbidden love before Katrina's beloved Ichabod Crane mysteriously disappears. Will Katrina be able to use otherworldly powers to find Ichabod before it's too late? She recruits the help of a fellow witchy woman and her best friend Charlotte to track down Ichabod while trying to fend off Brom Bones' unwelcome advances. I am very intrigued. Just very intrigued. Okay, next up is The Witch Elm by Tanya French. This is a standalone, and I have not read anything by her, but I'm very intrigued. I own this one on Kindle. She has a mystery series set in Dublin, I believe, and I've been on the fence about reading this. I picked this one up because it was on sale a couple weeks ago, so I'm very interested. I'll read you the blurb. Toby is a happy-go-lucky charmer who's dodged a scrape at work and is celebrating with friends when the night takes a turn that will change his life. He surprises two burglars who beat him and leave him for dead. Struggling to recover from his injuries, beginning to understand that he might never be the same man again, he takes refuge at his family's ancestral home to care for his dying Uncle Hugo. Then a skull is found in the trunk of an elm tree in the garden. And as detectives close in, Toby is forced to face the possibility that his past may not be what he has always believed. It may not be specifically Halloween related, has a Halloween adjacent title, and I need to read it. The next book is The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane by Catherine Howe, and I'll read you a little bit of the blurb. Harvard graduate student Connie Goodwin needs to spend her summer doing research for her doctoral dissertation, but when her mother asks her to handle the sale of Connie's grandmother's abandoned home near Salem, she can't refuse. As she is drawn deeper into the mysteries of the family house, Connie discovers an ancient key within a 17th century Bible. The key contains a yellowing fragment of parchment with a name written upon it, Deliverance Dane. The discovery launches Connie on a quest to find out who this woman was and to unearth a rare artifact of singular power, a physic book, its pages a secret repository for lost knowledge. As the pieces of Deliverance's harrowing story begin to fall into place, Connie is haunted by visions of the long-ago witch trials, and she begins to fear that she is more tied to Salem's dark past than she ever could have imagined. Written with astonishing conviction and grace, the Physic Book of Deliverance Dane travels seamlessly between the witch trials of the 1690s and a modern woman's story of mystery, intrigue, and revelation. There's just something about Halloween and the Salem witch trials that go hand in hand. They're not, the witch trials didn't take, place exclusively in the fall of New England, but they just, to the modern mind, they go well together. Okay. Up next is another one that just is perfectly paired with Halloween while not being Halloween specific. That is Mrs. Poe by Len Cullen. It is 1845, and Frances Osgood is desperately trying to make a living as a writer in New York. Not an easy task for a woman, especially one with 2 children and a philandering portrait painter as her husband. As Frances tries to sell her work, she finds that editors are only interested in writing similar to that of the new renegade literary sensation Edgar Allan Poe, whose poem The Raven has struck a public nerve. She meets the handsome and mysterious Poe at a literary party, and the two have an immediate connection. Poe wants Frances to meet with his wife since she claims to be an admirer of her poems, and Frances is curious to see the woman whom Edgar married. As Frances spends more and more time with the intriguing couple, her intense attraction for Edgar brings her into dangerous territory. And Mrs. Poe, who acts like an innocent child, is actually more manipulative and threatening than she appears. As Frances and Edgar's passionate affair escalates, Frances must decide whether she can walk away before it's too late. Set amidst the fascinating world of New York's literati, this smart and sexy novel offers a unique view into the life of one of history's most unforgettable literary figures. And it was published in 2013. Okay, next up is The Kindred Spirits Supper Club by, who is this by? Amy E. Reichart. I have not read anything by this person, but this sounds so incredibly cozy and just funny. I had to put it here. Jobless and forced home to Wisconsin, journalist Sabrina Monroe can tolerate reunions with frenemies and kisses from old boyfriends, but not the literal ghosts that greet her in this heartwarming tale of the power of love and connection. For Sabrina Monroe, moving back home to the Wisconsin Dells, the self-described water park capital of the world, means returning to the Monroe family curse. The women in her family can see spirits who come to them for help with unfinished business. But Sabrina has always redirected the needy spirits to her mom, who's much better suited for the job. The one exception has always been Molly, a bubbly, rom-com loving ghost who's stuck by Sabrina's side all through her lonely childhood. Her personal life starts looking up when Ray, the new local restaurateur, invites Sabrina to a supper club, where he flirts with her over his famous brandy old fashions. He's charming and handsome, but Sabrina tells herself she doesn't have time for romance. She needs to focus on finding a job. Except the longer she's in the Dells, the harder it is to resist her feelings for Ray, who can turn down a cute guy with a fondness for rescue dogs and an obsession with perfecting his fried cheese curds recipe. When the Dells starts to feel like home for the first time, and with Ray in her corner, Sabrina begins to realize that she can make a difference and help others wherever she is. And I think this sounds incredibly charming. And I love me a good, charming rom-com. And admittedly, it is not necessarily Halloween adjacent, but again, it's got that vibe going for it. Okay. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. Classic, perfect for Halloween. Everybody knows the story. Ichabod Crane, a school teacher, came to Tarrytown in the Glen of Sleepy Hollow to ply his trade, educating young minds. He was gullible and an excitable fellow, often so terrified by local stories of ghosts that he would hurry through the woods on his way home, singing to keep from hysterics, until late one night he finds that maybe they're not just stories. What is that dark, menacing figure riding behind him on a horse? And what does it have in its hands? And why wasn't the school teacher Crane ever seen in Sleepy Hollow again? I loved the story. It's not very long. It's 108 pages thereabouts. It's just great. Another great one. I recently unhauled this earlier this year. That is The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. It is a middle grade story. It is 145, 150 pages. It's a very quick read. It is intended for middle grade. And it's a definite classic. I loved this book. I'll read you the story. A fast-moving, eerie tale set on Halloween night. 8 costume boys running to meet their friend Pipkin at the haunted house outside town encounter instead the huge and cadaverous Mr. Moundshroud. As Pipkin scrambles to join them, he is swept away by a dark something, and Moundshroud leads the boys on the tail of a kite through time and space to search the past for their friend and the meaning of Halloween. I cannot recommend this book enough. Truly, I loved the story so much. So it's easy recommendation. Next up would be Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. And it is a Poirot book. And it has a very brief blurb. At a Halloween party, Joyce, a hostile 13-year-old, boasts that she once witnessed a murder. When no one believes her, she storms off home. But within hours, her body is found still in the house, drowned in the apple bobbing tub. That night, Hercule Poirot is called in to find the evil presence. But first, he must establish... No! No! Would you like a bath? But first, he must establish whether he is looking for a murderer or a double murderer. Okay. That leads us to One Poison Pie by Lynn Calhoun is the first book in the Kitchen Witch Mystery Series. It's a cozy mystery series. And there are currently 7 books in the series. What's a kitchen witch to do when her almost fiance leaves her suddenly single and unemployed? For Mia Malone, the answer is simple. Move to her grandmother's quirky Idaho hometown, where magic is an open secret and witches and warlocks are mostly welcome. With a new gourmet dinner delivery business and a touch of magic in her recipes, Mia's hopes are high. But even when her ex's little sister, Christina, arrives looking for a place to stay, Mia takes it in stride. But her first catering job takes a distasteful turn when her client's body is found stabbed and stuffed under the head table. Mia is shocked to learn that she's a suspect. And even more so when she realizes she's next on the killer's list. With Christina, along with Mia's meddling grandma, in the mix, she'll have to find out which of the town's eccentric residents has an appetite for murder before this fresh start comes to a sticky end. I need to try this and see if I like it. So, okay. Next up would be Murder, She Wrote, Trick or Treachery by Jessica Fletcher and Donald Bain. And it is late October in Cabot Cove, and as Halloween draws near, there's a weird feeling in the air. Some town residents are on the lookout for curses and bad omens due to the arrival of a self-righteous spiritual medium. Others are whispering that a reclusive, eccentric woman is a real-life witch. And Jessica Fletcher is frantically looking for the ideal costume for the upcoming annual Halloween party. When the supposed witch turns up dead in the cemetery and everyone at the party is now a suspect, the entire village becomes terrified. Jess decides to investigate the witch's brew of motivations on her own, coming up with a plan of her own to prevent the murderer from escaping justice. Yeah, I need to know. Shocking. Okay, so this is The Diva Haunts the House. It is the 5th book in the Domestic Diva Mystery Series. There are currently 18 books in this series. No, you are not doing that. No, you are not doing that. It has a very Halloween cover. Sophie's decorations for a community haunted house are so good, it's scary. Not to be outdone, rival domestic diva Natasha is throwing a spectacular Halloween party at her house. But when Sophie arrives, she discovers one of Natasha's guests dead in a hair-raising Halloween display, and a pale, fanged partygoer fleeing the scene. The cause of death is not immediately apparent, but the victim does have 2 puncture wounds on his neck. While Sophie's boyfriend, homicide detective Wolf, investigates, rumors start flying faster than witches on a broomsticks. Could the killer be a real vampire? The same one rumored to have lived in Sophie's haunted house back when it was a boarding house. Good thing a domestic diva never runs out of garlic. And that brings us to Wicked Autumn. This is the 1st book in the Max Tudor series. There is currently 7 books in the series. It is by G.M. Millay, and I have read other books by her, which I have enjoyed thoroughly. Max Tudor has settled happily into his post as vicar of St. Edwald's Church in Nether Monkslip. The quaint English village seems to be the perfect new home for Max, who has fled a harrowing past serving at MI5, the British domestic counterintelligence agency. But his serenity is quickly shattered when the wildly unpopular president of the Women's Institute turns up dead at Harvest Fair. The death looks like an accident, but Max's MI5 training quickly kicks in, and before long, he suspects foul play. Okay, Harvest Fair, a vicar who was in MI5. I need to know. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and, well, I need to know. So, yeah, that might show up on my reading. I love this series. This is Aunt Dimity Beats the Devil. It is book 6 out of the 25 books in the series. It's by Nancy Atherton. It was published in 2001. And this is just pure, gentle, cozy. I love this series. With rain crashing down on her Range Rover as it climbs up a steep embankment on the Northumberland moors, Laurie Shepherd is beginning to doubt the wisdom of her decision to evaluate a rare book collection at Wardhurst Hall. The grim neo-Gothic hall that greets her upon her arrival is full of surprises, including a charming secretive stranger and a cache of World War I letters that tell a tale of doomed love and hint at a hidden treasure. It will take all of Dimity's supernatural skills to help Laurie solve the puzzle and restore peace to a family haunted by its tragic past. I love this series. I really, really do. Another series I absolutely love, and the 1st book in the series is set at Halloween. That is Death Overdue by Alison Brooke. There are currently 8 books in this series, and it's set in Connecticut. I absolutely adore the series. When a retired detective drops dead at Carrie's small-town library, she and her ghostly companion set out to find the culprit. Carrie Singleton is just about done with Clover Ridge, Connecticut, till she's offered a job as the head of programs and events at the spooky local library, complete with its own librarian ghost. Her first major event is a program presented by retired homicide detective Al Buckley, who claims to know who murdered Laura Foster, a much-loved part-time librarian aide who was bludgeoned to death 15 years earlier. As he invites members of the audience to share stories about Laura, he suddenly keels over and dies. The medical examiner reveals that poison is what did him in, and Carrie feels responsible for having surged forward with the program despite pushback from her director. Driven by guilt, Carrie is determined to discover who murdered the detective, convinced it's the same man who killed Laura all those years ago. Luckily for Carrie, she has a friendly, knowledgeable ghost by her side. But as she questions the shadows surrounding Laura's case, disturbing secrets come to light, and with each step Carrie takes, she gets closer to ending up like Al. Now it's do or die for Carrie in Death Overdue, the delightful first in a new cozy series. I strongly recommend this series. I absolutely loved it. I really, really did. If you like cat-centered mysteries, I have one for you. This is Rest in Pieces by Rita Mae Brown. It is the second book in the Mrs. Murphy series, and there are currently a whopping 34 entries in this series. This one was published in 2004, although that may be the publication date for the Kindle, although that sounds early, so we shall see. Mrs. Murphy thinks this new man in town is the cat's meow. Maybe she should think again. Small towns don't take kindly to strangers, unless the stranger happens to be a drop-dead gorgeous and seemingly unattached male. When Blair Bainbridge comes to Crozet, Virginia, the local matchmakers lose no time in declaring him perfect for their newly divorced postmistress, Mary Minor, Harry Harrystein. Even Harry's tiger cat, Mrs. Murphy, and her Welsh corgi, T. Tucker, believe he smells A-OK. Could his one little imperfection be that he's a killer? Blair becomes the most likely suspect when the pieces of a dismembered corpse begin turning up around Crozet. No one knows who the dead man is, but when a grisly clue makes a spectacular appearance in the middle of fall festivities, more than an early winter snow begins chilling the blood of Crozet's very best people. That's when Mrs. Murphy, her friend Tucker, and her human companion Harry begin to sort through the clues, only to find themselves a whisker away from becoming the killer's next victims. Okay, this next book is Happy Medium by Sarah Adler, and I will read you the description. Fake spirit medium Gretchen Acorn is happy to help when her best, read wealthiest, client hires her to investigate the unexplained phenomenon preventing the sale of her bridge partner's struggling goat farm. Gretchen may be a fraud, but she'd like to think she's a beneficent one. So if a cleansing the property will help the nice old man finally retire and put some much-needed cash in her pocket at the same time, who's she to say no? Of course, it turns out that said bridge partner isn't the kindly AARP member Gretchen imagined. Charlie Waybill is young, hot as hell, and extremely unconvinced that Gretchen can communicate with the dead. Which, fair. Except to her surprise, Gretchen finds herself face to face with Everett, the very real, very chatty ghost that's been wreaking havoc during every open house. And he wants her to help ensure Charlie avoids the same family curse that's had Everett haunting Gilded Creek since the 1920s. Now Gretchen has 1 month to convince Charlie he can't sell the property. Unfortunately, hard work and honesty seem to be the way to win over the stubborn farmer. Not exactly Gretchen's strengths, but trust isn't the only thing growing between them. And the risk of losing Charlie to the spirit realm looms over Gretchen almost as annoyingly as Everett himself. To save the goat farm, its friendly phantom, and the man she's beginning to love, Gretchen will need to pull off the greatest con of her life, being fully, genuinely herself. Medium's not my thing, but this sounds delightful, and I am always willing to try something. So, okay, next up would be The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and I think this sounds entertaining. Florence Day is the ghostwriter for one of the most prolific romance authors in the industry, and she has a problem. After a terrible breakup, she no longer believes in love. It's as good as dead. When her new editor, a too handsome mountain of a man, won't give her an extension on her book deadline, Florence prepares to kiss her career goodbye. But then she gets a phone call she never wanted to receive. She must return home for the first time in a decade to help her family bury her beloved father. For 10 years, she's run from the town that never understood her. Even though she misses the sound of warm southern night and her eccentric, loving family and their funeral parlor, she can't bring herself to stay. Even with her father gone, it feels like nothing in this town has changed, and she hates it. Until she finds a ghost staring at the funeral parlor's front door, just as broad and infuriatingly handsome as ever, and he's just as confused about why he's there as she is. Romance is most certainly dead, and so is her new editor. But so is her new editor, and his unfinished business will have her second-guessing everything she's ever known about love stories. This is intriguing sounding. It's one of those books where the description pulls me in just enough to see if the writing holds up to the description. Thus, it's on this potential list. Okay. This is The Book of Silver Linings by Nan Fisher. Starting to lose my voice. Constance Sparks always says yes. When her capricious best friend needs money, when her boss gives her more responsibility without a raise, and when her boyfriend, Hayden, who is very kind but also secretive, asks her to marry him. While planning their wedding and struggling with anxiety about the right course for her future, Constance researches the history of her antique engagement ring and unearths the name of a man who might be connected to it, plus his tragic love story. When she finds a book of letters in her library's old manuscript section, written by the long-dead man, Constance is deeply touched by his words and leaves a note for him confessing her uncertainty and doubts. She is shocked days later to find a response tucked among the pages. As the notes continue to arrive, Constance finds herself quickly falling in love with a ghost and putting her real-life relationship in jeopardy. Will a bond based on letters and possibly sent from the past derail her future? Or will Constance discover her voice and risk everything for the chance to somehow connect with her true soulmate? Again, this is another one where the description pulls me in. Okay, this is The Shop on Royal Street by Karen White. It is the first book in the Royal Street trilogy, and I will read to the Lord. After a difficult detour on her road to adulthood, Nola Trenholm is looking to begin anew in New Orleans, and what better way to start her future than with her first house? But the historic fixer-upper she buys comes with even more work than she anticipated when the house's previous occupants don't seem ready to depart. Although she can't communicate with ghosts like her stepmother can, luckily Nola knows someone in New Orleans who is able to. Even if he is the last person on earth she wants anything to do with ever again. Bo Ryan comes with his own dark past that involves the disappearance of his sister and parents during Hurricane Katrina. and he's connected to the unsolved murder of a woman who once lived in the old Creole cottage Nola is determined to make her own. Whether the resident restless spirits agree or not. I'm intrigued. So, that is a brief glimpse of the books that are, Halloween adjacent, that are intriguing me at the moment. Halloween is not my favorite holiday. I have no personal, religious, moral problems with the holiday, and all of these sound intriguing. I do have one physical book for this video, and I'm reading it this year for Halloween. That is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This was on my October pile of possibilities. This is the anniversary edition. The book is nowhere near this long. It has a bunch of added fluff added to the back of it. The actual book is 265 pages. So it's not long. I loved, like I said earlier in this video, The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. So I'll read you the back of this one. For those who still dream and remember, for those yet to experience the hypnotic power of its dark poetry, step inside. The show is about to begin. Cougar and Dark's Pandemonium Shadow Show has come to Greentown, Illinois, to destroy every life touched by its strange and sinister mystery. The carnival rolls in sometime after midnight, ushering in Halloween a week early. The calliope shrill siren song beckons to all with a seductive promise of dreams and youth regained. Two boys will discover the secret of its smoke, mazes, and mirrors. Two friends who will soon know all too well the heavy cost of wishes and the stuff of nightmares. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to read it when it is set, time frame wise. And I'm looking forward to it. So, do you have any Halloween adjacent recommendations, books you've loved that I haven't mentioned? Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. And Pickles and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.